Hi folks, Uncle Bill from BJ Adventures, stands for Bill and Jim. Today I'm going to make a video about how Jim and I process our food, preparation before we go out on the trail. We've adopted a method that we learned from Chef Glenn McAllister from backpackingchef.com. He did this recipe book for healthy, hearty, homemade backpacking recipes, the ultimate guide to dehydrating food for the trail. Now, I've done a little bit of dehydrating before in the past, but not so much that I still didn't take a lot of fresh food and stuff like that. I mean, I grew up, you take a big can of tuna out with you and a loaf of bread, but nowadays it's all about going lighter, and when you get as old as I am, you really got to lighten up on the stuff that you carry on your back. It's hard on your knees and everything. So I've done a little dehydrating in the past, but nothing big. Until I ran across this guy, and he's become my guru for everything food and cooking on the trail. I followed a lot of his recipes and then experimented and made it my own. He talks about dehydrating everything from fruit and vegetables and beans and meat and rice and desserts, even whole meals where you make up a rice jambalaya meal, dehydrate the whole thing, and then go out on the trail and reconstitute it. And so it's we used to take about 8 pounds of food for a 4-day trip, and we'd bring back 3 pounds, and then the next time we'd take 7 pounds of food and bring back 3 pounds. So we were carrying a lot of extra weight, and our food was really heavy. By using this method, we've reduced our weight down to about a pound per day for food, and it's a very compact method to carry it. This is a whole day rations right here in this one bag. So by doing it this way, we have more room in our packs, we're lighter, and we're actually eating probably a lot healthier than we were before. We make all of our meals now out of, or we can, if we want to, make all of our meals out of really healthy stuff. A lot of stuff from my garden, tomatoes and zucchinis and carrots and stuff like that. That's organic. Or we go to the farmer's market and get some fresh vegetables and fruit there. Also beans and rice and stuff like that you cook at home, pasta that you cook at home, so you know what goes in it. Not a lot of preservatives and chemicals and processed and stuff. It's good home cooked meals, very light and very cheap, and they're much more nutritious and better for you and taste 10 times better than that bags of dehydrated stuff that you buy in the sporting goods store, and at a quarter of the cost. So we highly recommend this book, Recipes for Adventure, backpackingchef.com. I think it cost me $20. It's like worth its weight in gold. And Jim and I like to eat, so you can get this from not eating. Recipes for Adventure. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we package up a full day's rations, what goes into it, and then I'll show you some other ones that I've already done and talk a little bit about the process as I go along. First thing is this is split pea soup that I dehydrated the other day. I made a big pot of split pea soup. I put carrots and celery and onions and garlic and bell peppers in it. Lots of spices and stuff. Made a really good split pea soup. My 4-year-old grandson just thinks it's to die for. So then you dehydrate it, you puree it, dehydrate it, lay it out on the fruit roll platters in your dehydrator and dehydrate it, and it comes out into forms like this, like chips. And you can actually eat these like a snack, like potato chips or whatever, but it's called bark, and soup bark, bean bark, and that's what I'll make my supper out of for this day's rations. Now I used to, I made all kinds of stuff like this, black bean soup and ham bean soup and lentils and stuff like that. It's way too much. And I take some dehydrated ham and put in it, and dehydrated carrots and zucchini and mushrooms and all kinds of different stuff every once in a while. But what I found is that some of that stuff doesn't quite reconstitute itself well, and it makes it a little chewy, and well, it gives some texture to it. I found that I just really enjoy just the soup itself. It's very comforting on a cold night by the campfire, just to have a big cup of hot soup. And it's my favorite meal on the trail these days. So that's about how much it takes. Now in the recipe book, he has you measure it out, put a note in here. It says how much is in it and how much water it takes to reconstitute it. And I did that for a while, but now I've got, I know how much water I need to reconstitute this soup, and so I don't need that. So this is supper, our first day out. Now the great thing about this is that the really good thing about out on the trail, we went for a whole week one time. I never had to do anything with my stoves except boil water. I never had to cook any food. So I use a lot less fuel too, which is less weight. So that's a nice added benefit. Now for breakfast, I've got some Quaker granola. I just put some dehydrated apples in it, dehydrated strawberries, and some raisins, and some powdered milk. We tried that regular powdered milk, that skim milk stuff, and that tastes awful. It's like white water. It's just, it's horrible. But then Backpacker Chef Glenn says, get some of this Nestle's Nido. This was really hard to find, but we finally found it in the Hispanic section of the Walmart Superstore. And this is whole powdered milk. This tastes pretty good. Powdered milk's powdered milk, but this tastes 100 times better than that skim milk stuff does. And it works really well in all of our recipes. Nestle's Nido. So I got some of that in there. So now all I have to do is pour this in a bowl and pour some water in it, stir it up. I've got granola with milk, and I let it sit for a little while, let those dehydrated fruit reconstitute a little bit, and then I have this really wonderful granola. I love it. It's my favorite breakfast on the trail. And then we hardly ever have a real lunch. We tried that for a while, some of those packs of tuna and stuff like that, and some bread. We just didn't need it. We found that Jim and I both just like to have some snacks out there. So in this one I got some beef jerky. Sometimes I take ham jerky or dried chicken, smoked fish, very good. Got a little packet of dehydrated cantaloupe. I absolutely love dehydrated cantaloupe. All my friends just think it's to die for, especially if the cantaloupe's really ripe when you dehydrate it. This is wonderful stuff. Also, mix it up, some dehydrated apples or pineapple or pears or something like that, just so you have different things every day. You don't have the same food every day. And I usually have a little bag of your basic trail mix. Now this is my homemade trail mix. I made up a couple of big jars of this. This is so good. My girlfriend scarfs it, and if I want to keep any around, I got to hide it from her because she loves it. What I do is I go to Costco and buy a big jar of mixed nuts. This one had cashews and almonds and Brazil nuts and pecans and a few macadamia nuts. Then I mix it with some raisins and craisins, dried cranberries, and some dehydrated apple, dehydrated pineapple, some butterscotch chips, chocolate chips, M&Ms, shelled sunflower seeds, and some coconut, probably some other stuff in there I'm forgetting. But this is wonderful stuff. and much better than anything you can buy in a box or a bag. A little pricey maybe, but it's great stuff. So get a little bag of that. Like to take a granola bar or a candy bar or something. Now, so that's what we have for lunch, kind of snacks. And for breakfast, we like our coffee. I used to take instant coffee, but that's really awful stuff. I just don't like instant coffee. Jim and I are both kind of coffee snobs. I take regular ground coffee, but then I got to find some way to process it. Used to take this really light aluminum coffee pot, but you know, that's kind of a waste. We found these Starbucks Via packets. Get them at Costco, fairly cheap, probably 50 cents a piece, maybe, right? So that's, and they make a really good cup of coffee. Jim likes his coffee black, but I like mine a little sweet and some milk. So I take some of that Nido powdered milk and some raw sugar. I used to take honey, but honey weighs a lot and it's also pretty messy in there. So you got sticky stuff. So I take raw sugar now. And then when you're out on the field, you're usually filtering your water out of a lake or a creek. So it gets it's warm and it's kind of funky tasting. So and you really need to drink water when you're out on the trail because you need to stay hydrated. But I don't really like to drink water anyway, even when I'm at home. So I take this Crystal Light lemonade flavoring just to flavor my water, give it a little twist. It's something we learned in Vietnam where we used to have that warm water in our canteen and we pour some Kool-Aid in there. You know, same theory. It just gives your water a little kick and makes you, induces you to drink more of it. So carry one of those at least. Okay, you gather all of this together and then you write it down on a paper towel. What's in it? This is a full day's rations. I got granola with fruit, some snacks, coffee, split pea soup, beef jerky, and dried cantaloupe. That way I can tell kind of what's in it. Go through other bags and maybe that's got ham jerky and apples or something, or you know, just to get things mixed up a little bit, give you an assortment. So you got one of those. Good thing about having a paper towel out in the field like this too is that you can use it to wipe your hands or your mouth or blow your nose or use it for toilet paper or to help start a fire. Then you take your food saver bag, put the paper towel in the food saver bag like this, and then you just start packing it in reverse order of how you're going to use it. So we'll put the supper in. And then the snacks, shove them down in there and take up make it as compact as you can. Another thing too about having these bags out there is that once you take the food out of them, you can use them to collect water or trash or tinder for your fire, or whatever you might need a little bag for. So those come in handy too, and you can reuse them. Okay, you get that all down in there. You got everything in one bag. Then you run it through the food saver. I absolutely love my food saver. It's one of those things you're going to have to pry out of my cold, dead fingers because it's just so handy and saves me so much money and effort and really the backbone of this whole process. So then you vacuum seal it. Just takes a minute. There you have it. Got a whole day's rations in a very compact container. Fits right in your pack, real handy dandy, and weighs about 1 pound. Okay, so now we have a full day's rations in a lightweight, compact packaging version. So let's say we're going to go out on the trail for 4 days. We get out there the first day. We get to the trailhead around 10 o'clock in the morning and noon. We got a 4 or 5 hour hike in. We want some snacks for the hike, and we also want dinner for that night. So here I have a half a day, which just has snacks in it, and then this has some black bean soup with dehydrated chicken in it. So that's for our first night out. Then I got a full day. Next day, oatmeal, raisins, with snacks and brown rice with some chicken in it. Then I've got this one that I just made up with the split pea soup. And then I've got another full day with granola and pasta. I make a killer pasta. I'll have to do a video on my dehydrated pasta. And then our last day out, all we're going to do is have breakfast, pack up, move out. So we need some snacks for the trail, rest stops. And then when we get back to our vehicles, we usually go treat ourselves to a burger and a blackberry milkshake. So here's breakfast for the last day. This is some oatmeal with raisins and brown sugar and some of that Nido milk and the snacks for the trail. So that's our method. You can see right here, 4 days worth of food in this little compact package. Weighs about 4 pounds. Very lightweight, very convenient, saves us weight in food, saves us weight in fuel, saves us cooking time. We have homemade, nutritious, delicious meals that are very cheap and very handy, and we're really sold on this method. We learned most of this stuff from the backpacker chef Glenn, and then a lot we just sort of experimented with and made up ourselves. You don't have to do all dehydrating. You can do instant brown rice and things like that. So there's lots of different ways you can go with this method, but it's really, really working for us well, and we really like it. So I hope that you've learned something, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the appropriate place, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.